Moving on, Maria's quips and insights were also just absolutely fantastic. She was a perfect gem from start to finish. We got humor, talk about family, and general musings from all of the characters throughout the season. It was good to see the cast not always thinking, "We exist only to fight Salem and the forces of evil. Compute." When it comes to writing conversations, they should be akin to how we talk in real life. At least to some degree. It's okay, because obviously none of us here are fighting giant Grimm in our day-to-day lives. If you are, I would love to get to know you. But most of us aren't. So it makes sense when there are fantastical elements or words thrown into conversations, but for the most part, characters in a story should still be relatable in what they talk about, and we are not just single-minded creatures. Next, on to the action. When I did my fight analyses series last year, I spoke about how fights in stories should remain largely consistent. The consistency can be in terms of tone, rules, realism, character interactions, and so much more. But once you've established how your fights should play out, what the rules of your story and those battles are, you need to stick to them. Seasons 4 and 5 largely retired the physics-defying acrobatics, ridiculous speeds, and crazy tricks the characters had made their trademarks from the show's very beginning, and that was terrible. That was one of the reasons why I did like the fight between Cinder and Raven, was because it was a return to form, but even then still, it really wasn't that great. Season 6, however, smartly revives all of that, and it shows with a great display on the train in the very beginning of the season that the fights have not only brought back the great choreography, but also that we can still get storytelling elements now through these stories. It shows how Team RWBY is out of sync and needs to get back together on a mental and spiritual level, not just physically speaking. That is great action when you can still see the progress of the stories and the characters in how they battle. It's awesome! The fight with the apathy in the abandoned farm was another incredible turn of pace. Incorporating Walking Dead-like horror into the show to mirror the depression and the desperation of the cast was another phenomenal choice on Kruby's part. Action can also be an effective tool to display the inner conflicts within characters, like I've said, and with the apathy, it was very, very well done. It shows just not only the sense of hopelessness, but the depression that comes with it. And when we also look at Maria's flashbacks to her glory days, oh my gosh, that was amazing. It was something right out of the early days of RWBY. It was done with incredible finesse, and you get this real sense of loss as you're watching it as well. It ranks right up there with the show's most brutal moments. It was just a short flashback scene. It was fantastic. And can we talk about the final overall battle? Oh my gosh, I loved it. Granted, the giant mech fight with Cordovan and Grimzilla was admittedly clunky, but it displayed amazing teamwork on the Hunters and Huntresses side. We also got fantastic dialogue throughout the fight. We saw amazing follow-through with all of the different action pieces. It was beautifully done. It was engaging from start to finish. And I loved that the team pulled out a ton of tricks for this fight. We got to see, for instance, Jean's semblance being used faster than a snail's pace for a change. Ren covering everybody's back. Weiss using her summoning effectively. Nora being the frickin' tank that she always is. And Ruby tapping into her silver eyes in a way that wasn't Deus Ex Machina for a change. Can I get a hallelujah? And as a side note for Ruby's final moments in front of Grimzilla, I think it was brilliant how she used Jin to regain her composure. It shows that she still struggles with her new powers and needs more time to activate them. But the flashbacks that we got, both her happy ones and her bad memories, reminds us that she is still a girl who is, like the rest of her team, working through a lot of trauma, and it shows great character progression for her. And not simply one-shotting the Leviathan was good as well. It gives us a nod to what might happen later on when they try to retake Beacon. And it shows good limitations as well to the power of the Silver Eyes. But we also have to talk about the 2-on-1 duel with Blake and Yang against Adam. Now, that was a fight that all anime battles aspire to be like. The fight's procession yielded insight into who Adam is from his words and to how his semblance works. And the way Yang and Blake fought together showed that they have overcome the awkwardness and the misunderstandings from the train ride that I talked about earlier. It included amazing acrobatics, fantastic use of their semblances, gritty choreography, and a bike to the flipping face, and the girls simultaneously running that scumbag through. I loved it! Okay, enough gushing about the action. Let's move on to the pacing. The season knew when to hit the gas and when to let off and take things slowly. The beginning was breakneck and awesome. Then we got to slow down and get the glorious info dump that was the revelation from Jin. And then the show slowed down even more so we could be fully immersed in how the team is feeling so depressed after learning what they've learned about Salem and Ozpin. It was grueling, but when the attack from the apathy began, it was a great payoff to the way that things had slowed down. The show speeds up all of a sudden, and we get to see how this mirrors the team kind of coming to from